Hello there. Oh, we are gonna get into the second part of the reunion and honestly, conclusion, hopefully, of Love is Blind Habibi. I'm gonna be very honest with you, and I think you're gonna understand it, but I am going through it doing this commentary. And it is because of the topics I'm talking about. When it comes to misogyny, sexism, it's tough. Okay, it is tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm losing my marbles. So I'm happy to hopefully finish this. But before we finish this, oh my God, there's a couple of more that we're gonna lose our minds over. So let's just get into it, right? Right. Okay, I want to give a couple of disclaimers. It's important. First of all, this is my opinion. This is just how I see things. And it is also based on what I see in the show. Editors create the storyline. The second thing is, and I think we're all adult enough to know that these people are individuals. The cast is individual people, and it is not a representation of general population, Arabic culture, and certain religions. Though some people like to use that as an excuse for their problematic behavior. But we'll get to that. You know how we do here. We narrate, we analyze, we often judge, and we always try to pretend that we know better and would do better. Hopefully. So we're going to start light, okay? I'm going to ease into it. We're going to have some foreplay before the big act. Okay, that sounds wrong. The golden couple, Safa and Muhammad. As a reminder, Safa and Muhammad are in their mid to late 30s. And in general, they were kind of, seeming like the most normal couple of the bunch. But despite that, I personally did have a tiny bit of issue with how many times Muhammad was shown to promise protection to Safa. But some of you also told me in the comments below that that's kind of a thing in Arab culture where a man usually promises protection and it's more about emotional support, physical support, and basically standing there by you. When they were in the pods, Muhammad actually shared that he had already met his perfect partner in the past, but he wasn't mature enough to actually continue, to actually have a real commitment, relationship, marriage, and so on. And coming to Love is Blind, now he is ready. In the reunion, the first thing that Muhammad says that he actually never expected that he will meet someone. He even said that he never really planned to get married, and if it wasn't for Love is Blind, he doubts that he would actually do it.
أنا فعلا ما كان هتزوج بدون Love is Blind لأنه أنا إنسان خلص يعني I gave up on marriage.
Which I'm confused. I'm so confused. But also it's a confirmation what I've mentioned a couple of times, that it seems that majority of these people came to this show for a certain exposure, maybe certain clout. The fact that he met Safa was almost like a jackpot. He didn't expect it, but then he met this perfect person and they decided to say, I do. Safa and Muhammad are the only couple who said yes and got married. But while I find Safa really mature, and I don't know if I shared this already, I do not find Muhammad very mature. And now we're going to get into it. The first thing that happened, and I was a little bit like, is right after the pod. So it was in vacation when they met each other. Muhammad, seeing again Safa, is shocked, is pleasantly surprised, but almost like, oh, I can't believe it. You see, Safa looks like Eva Mendes. And Eva Mendes is his childhood crush, is the dream woman he always wished to be with.
No, she's in front of me. Even أحلى. شخصيتها أحلى وحكياتها أحلى. I swear to God.
And I have a problem with this. This can be just a happy coincidence for Muhammad, right? He met this wonderful person, and now when she's in front of him, he cannot believe she actually looks like someone he had a crush on since he was a kid. I really scored here. To Safa, it can also be a sense of validation. She is his type, and that's very reassuring. Now, if we look at the other side, which I think it's good to have in mind, like don't be paranoid or obsessed about it. If someone tells you that you look like their perfect crush and so on. But, have it a little bit in mind. It can happen that instead of, in this case, Mohammed appreciating Safa for her own individuality, he's actually appreciating her for how closely she matches his ideal. So it almost shifts this focus from Safa as an individual person to Muhammad's dream. Safa is almost made for Muhammad. There can be an element of destiny, fate, or even, I know you heard it before, I manifested someone. And that's when things can get really, really tricky because you fail to see that each individual has their own right to live, to have a life. No one was made for you. No one is meant to be yours just because since a kid you had a crush on someone who looks like you. It all seems very magical. It all seems very, fairy tale, but that's the thing. It's a fairy tale, okay? So if I was Safa, I would kind of pay attention how much is he projecting his crush of Eva Mendes to me as a person and how much he's actually acknowledging me as an individual. Because it could result in, for example, Safa almost fighting to actually be seen. Now, there is another element that can happen if you are in the position like Safa, for example, you are compared to an ideal. If you yourself don't have a very strong sense of self-worth and individuality, you might start to lean into being more like, in this case, Muhammad's type, right? Safa might even try to embody more her resemblance to Eva Mendes, potentially lose her own individuality in order to kind of please Muhammad. The second thing is that at one point, Muhammad actually expresses that his favorite thing about Safa is how shy she is.
You are a shy person.
I am.
This kills me, by the way. Khajalik is what makes me go crazy.
If there is a certain situation and someone is acting a little bit shy or they don't want to, I don't know, it's karaoke, they don't want to step up or whatever. And then you say, oh my God, like you're so cute, when you get a little bit shy. And it's situational, right? I could kind of understand that. It's another thing when a guy tells you that you being shy drives him crazy, makes him mad about you. Isn't that a little bit, what now? I mean, in general, shyness is not something that should be very, very praised because you're limiting yourself out of fear of judgment, right? That's how I perceive shyness. You don't want to express yourself because you don't know what the reaction will be. And then maybe if there's another aspect to it, please let me know in the comments below. So the fact that your partner tells you that he loves that about you, it's a little bit why? If I pair it with my personal observation that Muhammad kept on saying how he's going to protect her, for me personally, it again leans into this, I'm the protector and you're the, dainty, shy person that I'll just, embrace and protect from all the harm. But as we talked before, it could lean into controlling behavior rather than equality and partnership. And again, if a person, in this case Safa, would by default have some insecurities or struggling with her own self-worth, she might again lean into this shyness, right? He loves me being shy, so I'm going to be even more shy, right? But that means that you're actually developing a certain dependency on this person. We want equality. So that was a little bit, it left a sour taste in my mouth. And then there's the third thing. Oh, just so you know, Safa also has her own issues and we're going to get into it. But let me finish with the list of what I saw could be a little bit problematic when it comes to Muhammad. And like I said, it's nothing, you shouldn't work on it and so on, but it might help, if we talk about how can it go wrong. One of the main problems when it comes to Muhammad and Safa is mainly her work. Safa loves her job. And she actually got a project to work on for the next 3 years that would require, or that will require, a lot of traveling. So she'll be traveling almost every end of the week. Now, this is something that she shared with Mohammed, and he kind of didn't mind. But now when they got out of the pods, it became a little bit more challenging. And honestly, I can understand Mohammed. When things get real, a thing like, okay, she's traveling all the time becomes a little bit more real. While when they were dating in the pods, it could be that he didn't really took it as serious. I'm gonna share what happened, and I think you can also probably see how his insecurity pokes out in a controlling way. So they have this work conversation, and Mohammed shares with Safa that he believes that the distance estranges people, right? And he doesn't want to be far away from her because that will impact the relationship.
هيكون كتير يعني هيكون عندك مكانين.
It's a lot, yes. Yes.
Don't you want to feel home?
At the same time, he knows she loves her job and he never wants to come in between it. And at the end of the day, he wants her to be happy, even if it's with someone else.
أنا بدي إياك تكوني مبسوطة regardless معي أو مع غيري. فهمت علي؟
I find it a little bit pushy, almost passive-aggressive. Like, I don't want to interfere, but this is not what I like. It almost feels like this is Safa's problem. She has this job, and it's on her to decide how we will continue. Now, here's the thing. Safa clocks it. Like, Safa gets a little bit shocked, and she asks him, why would he even say that? Why would he say that she can be with someone else, right? Is he getting cold feet? And Muhammad quickly, pulls back. He's like, no, there's no way you're gonna be with someone else. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not going anywhere.
شو الحكي هذا؟ إذا بالله محلاكي وأنت رايح مع غيري. يا أمي.
Which again made me feel like, Are you saying that at the end of the day, you want her to be happy even if it's with someone else? Not because you actually believe it. Is it just to say the right thing? Was it just to be nice? Was it trying to control her and push her in some way? I wouldn't say he is a bad person, but I would say that he needs to kind of dig deeper and work on himself a little bit so he doesn't allow certain insecurities to manifest in him acting a little bit controlling when it comes to Safa. Compared to, for example, we'll also talk about it later, types like Shafiq or Ammar, where they are very like, I want this is it, or you do it, or I'm out. Muhammad is like, I know it's not right to do that to her, but at the same time, I feel very insecure in this, so... Right. So there's room for improvement. The last day before their wedding, Safa expressed that she is worried that Mohammed is just very good with his words. Like, he knows what to say. But is this real? Is he genuinely feeling that way, or he's just, a charmer? Now, Mohammed feels hurt by this. And I can understand 100%, especially if he's trying to be connect with her. It does hurt when you hear then someone doubting your intentions. But at the same time, I would even say that because even everything that I explained right now, it's kind of obvious that Safa might find herself a little bit doubting, right? Are you into me, or because I look like Safa Mendes? Eva Mendes. Are you actually willing to work on this together when it comes to my work, or are you just saying that, but you're actually expecting me to stay at home? Those could be like all small things that make Safa feel like how much is he actually trying to build a partnership with me, and how much he's just infatuated by me in whatever way.
My guts tells me that you're real. You're very generous. Oh, everything about you is real. بس my guts هواي غلطت قبل. Joking.
And I think this is where she F's up. Honestly, this is where she fucks up. She fucks up because she correctly expresses that her gut feeling is telling her that he is real, right? That he's not just a charmer and a smooth talker, that they actually are compatible and that they can do this. But then she says, but my gut feeling failed me many times. Ha 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 ha. And I was like, Safa, please, this is also not okay. You are also in a passive-aggressive way inserting doubt in himself. Because you're saying, oh, I think you're right, but I was wrong many times. So it's almost like, what are you trying to do? Are you also, because of your own fears of if this is right or not right, trying to almost instill some sense of doubt in him that would make him be more committed to you? You know, that in my personal opinion, that's also not okay. I can see why she's doing that, is a sense of protection, but like I said for Muhammad, it does not make it right. Another example of this passive aggressiveness, which I don't think it's healthy for a relationship, and Safa should work on that from what we've been shown, is that Muhammad kind of references their tattoos. So they made tattoos of the number of the pods, and he kind of says that's giving him a bit of reassurance, right? That they committed, they did this tattoo. And Safa starts smiling, and she said, but you said that I can remove the tattoo.
التاتو كان أول
والله هذا أكبر أشورنس.
صح؟
الأمور طيبة.
بس هذا ممكن يمسح، أنت قلت لي طمنتني.
Okay.
Which is, again, like he is trying to establish, reassurance from both sides and commitment. And she, for her own reasons, is kind of, passively, aggressively, we're not there yet, don't think that you just have me. And I think that's, again, with her own fears of, being vulnerable and open, and what is she getting into at the end of the day. Now, Muhammad's reaction, though he is hurt, was also a little bit, passive aggressive again, because he makes a joke about it. Oh, hi, I'm Muhammad.
You don't know 100%.
Not 100%.
Interesting. Then you don't know me. Congratulations.
Then I need some.
Like, I'm not condemning them or anything. I'm just saying that I personally did see from the show that there are points that they should work on. Again, this is my opinion. Like, I do not know these people. God knows what is actually happening on the outside. As I said, they get married. And at the reunion, we actually find out that they did have quite a struggle at the beginning. And the struggle was mainly due to, they said, Muhammad's jealousy. Especially the problematic thing when jealousy turns into control. That's what Safa says, right?
يعني أنا بالنسبة لي jealousy is nice. But there is a fine line لما تتحول من jealousy لcontrol. Yeah?
With everything that I just explained, like how I see the whole situation, I think this is very normal that they are dealing with this. Because like I said, I do feel that Muhammad feels like he scored a jackpot and almost his fantasy girl. And with her being a little bit more passive aggressive in giving him reassurance, I think this is the clear result, right, of what is happening. Muhammad basically takes this opportunity to defend himself. He starts by saying that, yes, he is jealous. And the thing is that by heart, he is the typical Oriental man.
وين ما أروح وين ما أجي وين ما ألف بطلني إنسان فلاحي شرقي. فهمت علي؟ فأنا إنسان بغار، إنسان كل شيء، لكن لما يكون السبب محرز.
Like, don't you just love it? When people use their culture and environment to justify their own problematic behavior. And I've seen this in all of these men in this cast, right? They almost pride themselves of being jealous. Not even pride, but it's almost like this is a typical characteristic that proves that I'm a real man, right? And it is our tradition and our culture and so on. And it's like, it does not make it right. Are you serious? So that to me from the get-go shows that instead of Muhammad approaching this problem from I'm an individual and I need to work on it, he's approaching it from, well, you know what? Like by heart, this is how I am. This is my culture. Which totally takes away his own responsibility and potential insecurity that is driving his behavior, right? It's not him that is doing this. It's not his insecurities that are doing this. It's his roots, right? And that's not going to help anyone. He also says that he's only jealous when there's a reason to be jealous. There's always a reason why you do what you do. Again, it does not make it right. Muhammad, to me, is again neglecting his own responsibility in the matter. So, or it's his roots and his culture and so on, or it's because someone did something that made him jealous. So, because of all of this, I have my doubts when it comes to Muhammad and Safa and how that relationship is actually gonna be good, right? I think that Mohammed really needs to address certain things and accept maybe you do have insecurities you need to work on. And that's nothing wrong with that, okay? Your jealousy, it's not just a confirmation that you are a real man, okay? That's the thing that the type like Mohammed should first accept and then go from there and actually work on it and address it so it doesn't interfere with the relationship or, like Safa says, turn into control. So the host asked them how are they dealing with this, do they talk about it, and so on. And Safa, in a little bit of a passive-aggressive way, again says that yes, they do have the conversation after he stops being resentful and after a week of him being resentful, then he actually can talk.
كنت حاسة أنه يعني قاعد يستقبل منك مثلا آراءاتك وأفكارك.
ورا عركة ما تبقى أسبوع.
في عركة، في مشكلة يعني، في مشكلة.
She does say that luckily they are both mature. Eventually they do have a talk about things, and that's what help them stay still together. If that wasn't the case, then they wouldn't be together. So I guess they're working on it. They are happy that they got married, and Safa recommends it. You know, it's nice to share your life with someone. Hopefully. And from the golden couple, we go straight into another disaster. Karma and Amar. People, this is another situation where it is no better than what went down between Noor, Mido, Shafiq, and Dunya. The situation that goes down between Karma, Amar, Shafiq, Katab is another insane thing and shows, in my personal opinion, very strong sexism and misogynistic behavior and men actually thinking that it is okay. As a reminder from the first video, Karma and Amar were the first couple to actually say yes to the proposal. Now, already in that time, I personally saw a bit of problematic behavior, especially from Amar, when it comes to his controlling tendencies. You see, once he decided that he likes Karma and he wants to do this with her, he actually instructed other men not to really interact with her, or more specifically, Shafiq. I don't know why Shafiq needs to always be a part of some discussion, but that's the thing, right? I think we learned that Shafiq cannot but insert himself wherever he can, and we're going to see that when we talk about them. But let's go back to Karma and Amar. From my personal view, Karma was fucked from the get-go because she didn't really get a chance to maybe interact more with other people once Amar claimed her as his own. On the other hand, Karma is someone who presents herself as loving, especially when it comes to self-love and respect and mutual partnerships and so on. She's the type of person who likes to follow her, let's say, dreams or what she wants to do. She believes in women and men's equality. So the main question was, how will these lovebirds come together? Amar seemingly being very traditional in his expectations of roles in a marriage, while Karma being much more open-minded. Well, it didn't take long for the two of them to crash and burn, basically. After the vacation, they basically don't really progress anywhere, and obviously they don't get married, and at the reunion, they are asked about their regrets. Do they regret something? Now, before going into what actually happened, I do want to add here that I was kind of annoyed with the hosts when it comes to Karma and Amar. Like, I don't know if it looked like that to you, but to me, it looked like they are pushing, especially the woman of the pair of the hosts. I don't remember the name. It looked like she was trying to bring them together. She even says that at one point, like she was trying to make them fix the bridge that was broken, blah, blah, blah. And I was looking at her and I was thinking, are you freaking insane? Are you really trying to pair these two together when it is clear that Amar wants to control? Amar wants someone by his side who knows that the only two words a man should hear is, yes, darling. I was baffled. I was like, are you freaking insane? Like, what the fuck are you trying to do now here? But what did piss me so much, Let's get into it. So after the pods, it looked like Karma and Amar are really happy with each other's choice. They were loving, affectionate. But when there's cracks, they're gonna start cracking. You see, when the inevitable topic of expectation is open, we see what differences do they have in their expectations of marriage, partners, and relationships. The topic of Karma's dancing, which was already a no-no for Amar in the pods, comes up again. You see, Karma likes to belly dance. She enjoys dancing. She sees it as a way to express herself. And it's something that is a part of her life. Amar does not agree. And the hell will his wife still continue to dance, especially in front of other people.
مثل إنه تكون مرتي عم ترقص. هذا الشيء أبداً ما بقبله ولا بشكل من الأشكال. يعني big X.
Karma is trying to reason with him in some way, or at least try to understand better, like what is the actual problem. For her, dancing is art, is a way to express herself. And she doesn't understand why Amar has such a problem with it. But Amar, not only is he confused, why would a woman want to dance, especially when she is married, but he's also confused. Why is she even trying to argue with him about it?
لما أنا قال لك بسرعة 20 وأنا ما بحب فهمتيني المفروض تقولي لي أوكي أنا قائد هالأسرة اللي بدي كونها فما أعتقد المفروض تجادل كتير معي خلص أنا بدي هيك أوكي بالأخير قرار إلي.
It's ridiculous that she's even opening this discussion because the only thing that it's acceptable is if he doesn't like someone, she as his potential wife should say okay. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is where we learn what is actual traditional way of living for Amar. It's all about the man has certain expectation and the woman needs to follow it. He is the leader. He is the protector and he decides what goes and what doesn't go. Now, let me ask another thing. He is very much into Karma. I mean, he made other men stop talking to her because he knew she is his perfect match. And she is so perfect. He can't believe how perfect she is. And yet, he can't even allow her to express her views, her perspectives. Isn't that interesting? What do you actually love, Amar? Do you love that she will be what you expect her to be? Or do you love her for who she actually is? What kind of love are we talking about here? After this first conversation, they actually meet again in Dubai. So after the vacation, and it is clear that they didn't interact much.
ما حكيتي لي شو بختي
مقرونة.
ولا حسبتي حسابي ولا قلتي لي تفضل ولا أهلا وسهلا ولا أي شيء.
ما أنت عم تشتغل أوف.
Now, according to Karma, she needed some time off. She wanted to step away from everything and really evaluate if she wants to continue this with Amar. And here's the thing. She doesn't. It is clear for her that they have two totally different views of life. And it is clear to her that Amar is not for partnership.
لأنه أنا اخترت الرقص واخترت الفن واخترت حياتي بصراحة.
Yes, queen. Yes, 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 yes. Mwah. Exactly. Now, this pisses Amar off. Oh, this pisses him off. You see, Amar doesn't get it. Amar doesn't get how she is so stubborn in wanting to dance when that is clearly unacceptable. It's unacceptable in their culture in general. Not only him, no man would do that. And Karma corrects him that that's not really true. And the whole conversation goes dark very, very fast. While Karma is, again, similar to Noor, trying to keep, or not trying to, she's very calm. She's very secure in her beliefs. She doesn't even engage in fighting with him. Amar is attacking her left and right. Some of the things that he says to her is that her love for dance will make her life difficult because that's not a nice thing to do, especially in Arab culture. How stupid it is that she is ending their relationship based on such a small matter as dancing, which is, that's exactly what you're doing. For her, it's just a small thing, right? For you, it's a big thing. But we'll get to that because the conversation continues in Reunion. I just want to give you a bit of a flashback. He also says that if she will ever find a man that will accept her dancing, that won't be a real man.
تعريف الرجال هو شيء كارما يمكن ما بتعرفه.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, the alphas that love traditional ways. Karma walks away from the conversation. She ends it there and there. She's not being mad. She's not being angry. She is very, okay, like I'm not even going to go into this discussion. It's clear that you have views that I don't align with. And for me, it's okay. We're just not going to continue this relationship anymore. And she basically walks away with her head held high, choosing herself, which was magnificent.
أنا نحب روحي أكثر من كل شيء وأنا كامرأة وكإنسانة ربي خلقني حرة.
And then we get to the reunion, where Karma needs to justify herself left and right. And not only is Amar going after her, but also some other men of this cast. When they are asked by the hosts if they have any regrets on how everything went down, Karma shares that she wishes there was more respect and less emotional outburst from Amar towards her, especially when she noticed certain double standards. You see, Amar was very, very against Karma dancing in front of other people. Mind you, not that it matters, but if we want to really go, nitty gritty, she was fully dressed, right, when she was belly dancing. Amar, on the other hand, had a montage of him shirtless, flexing his physique under the you know what I'm talking about. So Karma wants to know, does the values he have and the rules he has based on his traditional beliefs and so on apply only to other people?
بس هل هيدا عادي وإنه بنت ترقص مش عادي؟ شو الاختلاف؟
Exactly. Like she slayed. Amar starts by responding, he has nothing against dance. It's art. It's how you express yourself. And I'm looking at him. Are you just repeating what Karma said like before the reunion? Honestly, good. Maybe you learned something. But he continues. You see, the thing is, once you get married, once you commit, sacrifices need to be made. And what he's asking for her not to dance is a norm in the entire Middle East. Their society opposes to dancing. And please take a deep breath. Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. And I promise you we'll get through it, okay? He says that, I can't because it's so, like I want to cry. Why am I getting emotional? Okay. So he says that dancing creates a certain type of allure. It draws attention. And men are jealous of that. Arab men are jealous of that. Sometimes a single look can mean more than 100 words.
قصدي في بالرقص نوع من الإغراء بياخذ النظرة، ونحن عرب بنغار بالنظرة. يعني احنا إذا حدا بيطلع بالثاني بنظرة هذا بتجرح النظرة أكثر من كلمة، إلها معنى أكثر من الكلمة. فهمتني؟ أكثر من لمسة العين أهم.
If there is anyone watching this video and thinks that this is okay, that what Amar is saying is normal and should be accepted, you clearly do not understand the struggle that many women go through, and not in Middle East, even in Christianity and many religions and many societies, when a woman is blamed for men sexualizing her. A woman's skirt is too short. That's why a man assaulted her. A woman was walking the streets alone, and because that is not acceptable, a man needs to attack her. I hope that I don't need to go further into how dangerous this kind of thinking is and these kind of beliefs are. And the fact that this man expressed that on TV shows how convinced he is in his own beliefs and how he has support of other men thinking the same way. If you think that a man like Amar with these kind of beliefs is not someone who is dangerous, I genuinely hope that you will never have to experience something that will make you realize how wrong this is. It is unacceptable, and I was shocked that no one in the cast was actually telling him that this is not okay. Now, I am going to share some of the points that are clear when it comes to who Amar is. First of all, he is justifying his limiting and very controlling beliefs and behavior by this is how we all do it, right? This is how I was raised, which is already fucked up in itself. He says the norm in Middle East, knowing that karma is also a part of that region, a part of that culture. And she also expresses that that is total bullshit. He shouldn't generalize it because she herself has the peace in what she does. And she herself follows her dreams because she has her family and men of her family that stand behind her.
أنا اللي خلاني نكون بشخصيتي هذه وبقوتي هذه وبسلامي الداخلي هذه اللي أنا عندي رجال في ظهري اللي هم أخواتي اللي هو بابا اللي هم عائلتي اللي ربوني واللي علموني أني أنا نختار ونعبر على روحي ونشوف الراجل كما المرأة اللي ينطبق على الرجل ينطبق على المرأة.
So that is already the first thing that is so controlling and manipulative because he's trying to justify his own behavior that it's not me, reflecting. Let's put again, like Mohammed did, right? I'm an Oriental man. What does that mean? The second thing, I already explained it, blaming dancing and dancing creating a lure for men is the typical men can't control themselves, so that's why a woman needs to stop being herself. That's why a woman needs to shelter herself. That's why a woman needs to be careful. But a man, well, that's just how it is. He is a leader and protector, and they get easily tempted. Again, what about your under the shower, shirtless montage? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, that's not the Lord, right? Because women, I guess, can't get tempted, right? Or if a woman gets tempted, it's probably her fault. Because how can she look a man that is in a relationship like that? The misogyny showed by Amar is insane and should not be tolerated. And you yourself, like Amar, might say, it's only dancing. It's such a small thing. Until it's not only dancing, but it's about talking to another person, going out alone, having your own opinion, controlling what you should and shouldn't do. When you try to control someone, it's never just this small thing. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But the real danger is the foundation where this comes from. It indicates the real danger that lurks below. It's a small thing when someone tells you, don't talk to this person. But what when it leads to, you only talk to me? He says it's a small thing, but it clearly isn't because he is not acceptable of that. So it's a very big thing for him. So what is it, Amar? Is it a big thing or is it a small thing just because it's something karma wants? You not wanting it is a big thing. Her wanting it is a small thing. Sure, Amar is not that bad. He even says that everything would be okay if karma would just say, okay, darling, right? Darling is something that she called him. So if she would say, okay, darling, then that would be good, right? Then later on, they can, talk about the matter.
منهي من راسه لأجريه، يعني أنا لسه عم بسكت واحكي معك. اول شيء بدك تقولي لي يا لا انه دن ابن عمي، انت مو بتقولي لي ابن عمي، لازم تقولي لي دن ابن عمي، وبعدين تناقشيني تقولي لي والله كذا.
That's all she should have said. Okay, darling. Then they would talk about the matter later on, right? That's the thing. But because she didn't say that, because she wanted to discuss with him immediately, because that's already crazy to him that she's even fighting with him about something. He doesn't want her anymore. Which I'm seriously confused. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What can you even say to that kind of thinking and reasoning? Can you believe the level of gaslighting someone like that? Or straight up lying to her like that? She should have said, okay, darling, right? That she won't dance because later on he would be open to talk about it. But now he isn't. What? But here's the thing. Instead of at least one of the men in that cast having the courage or even the belief that what Amar is saying is fucked up, Katab says to Karma that if she would only use a little bit more diplomacy when she expressed her wishes, that things would be better, right?
احنا رجال كلمتين تمشينا والله. خالد شو رايك بهذا الموضوع؟
طبعا مو
احنا
كلمتين
كلمتين تمشينا والله نطلع بيها، فانت كمرة لو بس تصيرين شوية دبلوماسية بالموضوع.
كلمة لا للرجال على طول من واحدة بتعز عليه كثير صعبة.
You see, men can easily be controlled with 2 words. They are very simple. What? Yes, hubby? It is very difficult for a man who loves a woman to hear a no from her. It's just something that it's difficult to accept. Is this made up? Is this made up? No, it isn't. That's the fucking crazy part. Okay, I need to calm down. I need to calm down. It's difficult to calm down because it's a reality, and honestly, like, as painful to watch all of this is, as painful these topics are, I genuinely hope that the fact that this aired, the fact that this was shown, did open and did push people to actually talk about these things and maybe understand how problematic it actually is. I really hope that it did bring some good to it, right? I mean, we are talking about this right now. And these are difficult topics. And I can understand how difficult it is to even bring it forward. But it's clearly needed. In this case, all 3 of them, Mohammed, Katab, and Amar, are basically expressing beliefs that are danger to women's autonomy and freedom. It shows how oblivious they are what they are saying. You see, they expect women, or in this case, Karma, to say yes. And Mohammed expresses that it's difficult to hear a no. But they fail to see that it should apply to the women also. It's difficult for a woman to hear a man say no. Sure, yes, darling, in this case can be a small thing, but it's only small because it's not the men who are being controlled in this case. It's the women. And nothing is small when you are trying to limit someone's freedom. The double standards are unbelievable. It is not okay for a woman to say no to a man. You know, she should have a better, more diplomatic approach. But it is okay for a man to say no to a woman. Let that sink in. The pure ignorance of these men realizing what they're asking women to do, you know, just obey me, is shocking to me, is crazy to me. Like, these are adult people, like, living their day-to-day lives, being exposed to many things, through many experiences. And this is how they actually think. Now, the host does challenge Amar. And I'm not sure if the host is actually like challenging because, you know, they believe that what he's saying is problematic, or because they want to, you know, give the opportunity to shut the haters, right? I genuinely don't know, you know. But basically, he says that there are many people outside who call Amar's behavior controlling. And what does he have to say about that? Amar doesn't see it that way. Amar sees it as protection, leadership.
أنا بعتبره protection، بعتبره حماية، بعتبره قيادة. الرجال اللي ما له قائد المرأة بتحسه ضعيف.
If a man is not a leader, then a woman will find him weak. I am not making this shit up. Seriously, like, this is literally red pill. And this, whenever you grab a pill, you get a little bit delusional. Why is this, again, so dangerous? You see, protection, leadership, these are all words that in our society are valued. Right? It's a representation of good things, of strong things, of right things. So when you hear things like leadership and protection, you automatically approach it with bias, right? With positive biases, with certain expectation, with certain goodness attached to them, that you might fail to realize that they are used to devalue a worth of someone else. In the way Amar is using leadership in protection is actually creating inequality. The man is the leader and the woman is the one who follows. It takes away the very real autonomy of a woman being capable of doing things for herself, of having her own brain, of having her own autonomy in living, and also know what's good for her and not good for her. Amar wants karma to stop because dancing is not good, which takes away any notion or any respect that karma can decide for herself what's good and what's not good. The type of Amar is also the type who will isolate you and limit you from your own freedom by the disguise of I care for you. When someone is using words like leadership and protection, when they are clearly trying to limit you and trying to make you do things they want you to do, it's not love. It is control. Amar preventing karma to dance is not care. It is control. The protection is actually from people like him. What he fails to see is that he is the very part of the crowd that she apparently needs protection from. And if you are still doubting if Amar is really problematic, right? And if I'm missing something or if I'm too much in my own values and beliefs, influenced by Western culture and so on, the host actually asks him a sneaky question and he didn't even clock it. That's how delusional he is.
لو تخلت عن هذا الشيء اللي هي تحبه كان ممكن تكون الأمور
أكيد طبعا كانت الأمور تمام هي ما في شيء كان كل شيء.
If she would give up what she loves, would then everything be okay? And Amar says, yes, everything was perfect. He has no problem otherwise. Do you still have doubts how problematic this man is? Do you not realize that he doesn't even care that that is something she loves? That's something that it's part of her life. He is saying that as long as she would give up something she loves, everything would be okay. Clearly showing that he does not care about her as a person at all. In my personal opinion, clearly showing that there was never love between the two of them or from him to her. There was only the love of the ideal or the image he was expecting her to be. He doesn't care what she loves. He doesn't care what she believes. If she would just give that up, everything would be okay. And I rest my case. I also want to remind you that Dunya expressed how any woman would be happy to be with someone like Amar. So, or Dunya herself needs some understanding of how problematic this is, or Dunya was just using it when it was serving her to attack Noor. But that also tells you something about a person. Karma says that she is not sad about what happened because at the end of the day, though her feelings were strong, especially at the beginning, once she got to know him better, once she understood his views and his beliefs and what he's asking of her, it was clear that this is not a good match. And it would be very reckless for her to continue based on what she was feeling. She had to make the decision that was actually right for her.
بعد اللي صار صحيح كان في مشاعر حقيقية لكن من الغلط إنه نتبعوا معناتها المشاعر على حاجات في حياتنا مختلفة تماما.
And she could have not said it better. Take notes. Stamp it on your forehead. I do not care. What do you want to do? But that's exactly what we all should do when we know that the person in front of us is not actually compatible with us, but we love them. Love at that point is not the thing that should drive you because you can end up in really toxic situations where you are not acknowledging who is actually the person in front of you. The host, in my opinion, or the show itself, does a very, very shitty thing. They again almost try to push a little bit if it is really over between the two of them. They even share a montage of how they, their best parts, right? How they promised each other to be together in bad and good and blah, blah, blah. And it all looked like they were trying, Amar, the host, the two guys. They were all kind of having this attitude as though Karma made the wrong thing, that Karma should not just let Amar go like that. And that was fucked up. And while all of this is kind of going down, we also get a shot of Noor actually kind of, in private talking to Karma and saying, don't worry about it. You did the right thing.
برافو انك تمسكتي بالشيء اللي بتحبيه لانه صدقيني في كتير ناس بالحياة بيموتوا بالمرة اللي عندها هواية وعندها انترست. صدقيني والله برافو. دايما follow your heart.
And honestly, seeing that, it made me so emotional. It made me want to cry because, going through this whole, almost like as I'm watching it, as I'm making notes, like, for the second time, or in this case now for the third time going through it, it almost feels like you're fighting that battle also as a woman watching this. And it felt so good when another woman, in this case, Noor, stood by her, like supported her in some way. And it felt like you yourself, you are almost being heard. I really appreciated that they left that in the show because it showed this support that women actually need. And it also showed that not everyone is, kind of lost or defeated by the wrong beliefs that these people like Amar, Katab, Muhammad, and even the Coast were showing, in my personal opinion. It really felt good, and it really felt like a sense of community, like women's community, support, and belonging. And in the same style of host, again expressing how she wanted for the two of them to come together and blah, 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 being delusional in how love is everything that you need, she proceeded to praise Dunya and Shafiq, the second golden couple of the show. Like I was really shocked about this Dunya and Shafiq shipping. I know even some people in my comments see them as the perfect couple and so on. And I'm like, how? But I will share exactly what I find problematic with Dunya and Shafiq. And even though you might see the two of them as good pairing, right? A perfect match or whatever. I think these are in general topics that are quite important when it comes to partnership and getting into relationship with someone and can help you in general. Doesn't matter, do you ship Dunya or Shafiq or not? I made myself a new cup of coffee. I need a little bit of break. Man, I feel like I need to take a vacation after I finish this series. I already prepared the next one, which is Sex and the City, Carrie back to Aiden and all that shenanigans. And I'm looking forward to starting it, but man, I was getting mad also doing that one. So I'm like, I need to find some content that will bring me down a little bit, that will promote good life and rainbows and all things sugar, spice, sweet and nice. How was it, the Powerpuff Girls? Shafiq and Dunya. So the first thing that I personally saw as problematic when it comes to the interactions between the two of them was something that I discussed in my last video. And it is this scarcity and this doubt that it seems like Shafiq created in Dunya regarding Noor. I've talked about it before, but in general, I find it very problematic when someone is feeding into your insecurities and, in this case, jealousy, rather than helping you overcome it and reassuring you that, you don't have anything to worry about. Because, jealousy happens. We all have insecurities. But there's a difference if someone is playing into it even more, creating even more doubt and lack of clarity. So your jealousy is actually growing, or someone who wants to understand how to work together on reassuring that those insecurities are, let's say, not triggered, while still keeping a balanced approach and respecting each other's individuality. And I feel that Shafiq is leaning more towards the type that will feed into Dunya's jealousy and insecurities rather than helping her. We also saw how he wouldn't really let her talk at the reunion. And as some of you pointed, there was a little bit of a gesture with his hand that could be quite problematic, like mimicking to shut her up, that he's gonna say, and so on. So I don't think that's good.
She has more confidence than you. She's a classy woman. She don't
Please.
But now let's go into the things that I haven't talked about the last time when it comes to the two of them and everything that happened since the pods and until this reunion, right? And it is a lot, people. It's a lot. We're going to learn a lot, in my personal opinion. The first problematic thing, in my personal opinion, happened when they met after the pods. So they are kind of, hanging together, getting to know each other, and they're also kind of reflecting how the time in pods went very fast. Dunya also expresses that that's something that she never done. First of all, okay, none of them ever done this. But at the same time, she never actually had a boyfriend. She was never in a relationship. So she feels a little bit inexperienced in everything. And Shafiq takes this opportunity to share his views on exes, or more particularly, women having previous relationships. For Shafiq, if a girl says that she has 5 or 6 exes, like, he's not judging her, but it's not for him.
ولا مرة صاحبت. Ellie, it's very important. بنت اللي بتجي بتقول لي عندي 5-6 ex. I'm not judging her, but for me I cannot.
Clearly misleading, right? Because you are judging. If you say that you evaluate someone based on how many exes they had, and that indicates if you want to be with them or not be with them, it does mean that you are judging them. Shafiq in general has this way of saying something that is considered good and admirable, like not judging, not insulting, not disrespecting, but then proceeds to do exactly the opposite. In previous video, we saw how he said, I don't want to disrespect Noor, proceeds to disrespect her. I don't want to insult her, proceeds to insult her. Here he says, I don't judge people, proceeds to judge people. He's very contradicting in what he is saying, and I think that's because he knows what is good for the society, so he leads with that, but then he actually says what he means, right? He thinks that makes him a good person. Him saying, I don't judge, is just word vomit. It's not really reality. Dunya is a little bit surprised by his statement because she would expect that if a woman has other, experiences or has exes in this case, it would mean she is emotionally a little bit more mature, a bit more experienced. But Shafiq doesn't see it that way. No. Dunya, sweetie, it doesn't mean that she is experienced. It means that she has emotional baggage. And he's been through that. He's been through when he was dating a woman, and because she had a problem with another guy before, that was all put on him then. And he's not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't need مش عاوز وحدة بنت تجي emotionally. She's already done. Trust issue. I was feeling that I was taking all the shit that هذا اللي كان قبلي عمل.
What was that? Shafiq is great. He sees the person as emotionally exhausted. They've been through it and they're done, okay? This is already used. A part of me being totally shocked that there is an adult man existing and actually thinking like that, it also shows how clueless he actually is. Like, it also shows that he is a little bit, in my personal opinion, a bit of a dum-dum. Because if he would have any understanding of what that means, he would have a lot of compassion and empathy to someone who is emotionally exhausted and will try to support them as a partner rather than seeing them as a burden. And if they become emotionally exhausted when they are with you, then you also need to kind of reflect on yourself and what is your contribution to it. I wonder how quickly, when Dunya expresses her doubts, will be her fault and he has nothing to do with it. He prefers Dunya, who is inexperienced. Now, in my personal opinion, when I hear someone wanting someone inexperienced, it is because they find it more easier to control you. This also, in my personal opinion, shows Shafiq's misogynistic views, where men prefer women who are inexperienced and pure, and that almost, brings them more value. They consider themselves as better if they get with a woman who is pure and it's just theirs, and, all that shenanigans that is, again, like I said, very misogynistic. Dunya, we already saw it, almost prides herself on being inexperienced, almost prides herself on not having boyfriend, which I would say it's probably coming from certain beliefs and expectations of purity and how valuable a woman's purity is, which is just, again, a pick-me type of thing. And when you say pick-me, it sounds like, oh, this person just wants to be chosen and da-da-da. But I do believe that it is because they do not really love themselves or they don't really accept themselves. So they want to be chosen because they have actually problems accepting their worth just by being themselves, and they are attaching it to what they represent. So Dunya, in my personal opinion, or someone like Dunya, would be sourcing their worth based on what is expected from her, not who she really is. It would also be very interesting to understand how many partners did Shafiq have, and how does he see him being emotionally exhausted because he had many other people. Like, that would be very interesting. And then if he had multiple partners, why does he feel that he is not the one who is now a burden to Dunya? Now, if he himself is walking the talk, right? So he also didn't really, have multiple partners and so on. If nothing else, at least he is sticking by his beliefs and values. But if that's not the case, then it's a double standard that again shows misogyny. Overall, how it looks to me is that Shafiq sees past experiences not through, this person, this is her life, these are her experience, and she grow from there or from them or so on, but more through the lens of how convenient or inconvenient it is for him. Which, again, I don't think I have to repeat myself, but it shows that he is actually very self-centered. And I do not think that's good for a relationship. And I say his convenience or not convenience because there is actually another scene where Shafiq is complaining about the lack of experience Dunya has when it comes to relationships. You see, when they are meeting his parents, he has a private talk with his father. And he expresses to his father that he's a bit worried about Dunya being inexperienced in relationships because she doesn't really know how to behave around other people. His dad apparently thinks that Dunya is shy and that is good, right? Because if she's shy, she won't interact so much with other. Like, what the fuck is this? Okay, chill.
Même des fois, en tant que couple, elle sait pas se comporter.
Il y a aussi l'âge qui joue. Moi, je pense que c'est bon parce qu'elle est timide.
Ouais, timide. Elle est pas timide, hein. Mais c'est ça mon problème avec elle. Et
trop à l'aise.
trop sociable. تجي بتشوف شاب أنا بعمل نفس الشيء بتبكي.
Now tell me, how healthy is that for the relationship, or in this case for Dunya? Shafiq loves that she's not experienced because she won't bring any emotional baggage. But at the same time, he doesn't like it because she doesn't really know how to act as a girlfriend in public. It's clearly based on his convenience. It's convenient for him, for her not to have any ex-boyfriends because he doesn't have to deal with it. But when it comes to her being social, then it's a bit inconvenient because she doesn't know how to act like a proper girlfriend. Don't you just love him? Just from everything that I explained right now, and you don't even need to pair it with what I already talked about in my last video when it comes to Shafiq and Dunya, how can you see that the two of them are such a great couple? That this is a good, healthy relationship? Just because they show snippets of how they're cute they are together, they even have their handshake, they seem to be, honestly, they do seem to click when it's just the two of them, when everything is going right. But the thing is that that's the easy part. That's the part that you can get with many people. The part where actually things get challenging, the part that actually shows how healthy this relationship will be, is how respectful are you of one another? And what are your general views and beliefs when it comes to partnership? And if it's anything but respecting and supporting each other and allowing your own freedom and individuality, it won't be partnership. There will be a clear power imbalance when one is the one who is the leader while the other one needs to conform to that. So I'm confused. How is this good? But don't worry. If you don't feel like this is actually problematic, or, if you find yourself in a relationship like this, it's not a big deal, you manage it and so on, there's more. So let's talk about it. Shafiq shares with Dunya that he is, by the brand of all the men in this cast, a jealous type. Okay? He is very jealous. He even shares, with the producers, that he thinks that him and Dunya are a perfect match, but he is jealous. So he wants to see how she interacts with other people, other girls and other men.
I'm sure إنه she's my match. مرتاح. بس يعني كتير بغاره. بدي أشوفها كمان كلنا مع بعض كيف بتحكي مع البنات كيف بتحكي مع الشباب.
Did you hear that? He acknowledges that he is a jealous type. So it all depends on Dunya. How will Dunya act? Will she trigger his jealousy or not? Don't you just love when men always, or not men, also people constantly use you as the reason for their jealousy? Now, if you've been watching my videos, you do know that I personally believe that there are two levels. One is the level, your own insecurities. Another one is your partner making it even more, like feeding into it, or are they actually helping you? But that's not the case here, because the case here is I'm jealous and I want to see how she will interact with other people. He also shares that with Dunya. She is a little bit worried, but they'll see how it goes.
أنا حطلع إنه كيف أنت حتتصرفي إذا بشوفك إنه عم تحكي مع شباب وتضحكي. You're gonna see from my eyes. Stop it straight away.
What now? I mean, it's good that Dunya is getting instructions, okay? Look, he is telling her exactly how she will be watched, how she is expected to act in a certain way. And if she notices that there's something wrong, she needs to shut it down, okay? And she needs to be a good girlfriend. Who doesn't love a man like that? Just tell me what to do. Tell me how I can limit and control myself, and I do it. There is one thing to say, I'm jealous and I want to work on it. And there is another thing to say, I'm jealous, so you need to work on it. In this case, it's all about him monitoring his jealousy based on how she will act. You need to have self-responsibility. You need to acknowledge that you yourself have issues if you are the jealous type. They have again this conversation before they meet other people, right? So Shafiq is already setting the stage for Dunya that she needs to act correctly. Whatever that means for him, right? She needs to be aware of how she's interacting with people. She needs to be aware if she's too social. She needs to, he's setting the stage of Dunya being anything but worried if she will do something wrong that will trigger Shafiq. And as much as you want to maybe deny it, the reality is that this is a very subtle, if you can even call it subtle, way of controlling her behavior, which then more and more can turn into her being very dependent on Shafiq's approval or disapproval, right? And if we take this particular example, when it comes to his problem with her being too social and talking with other people, because she is in love with him, because she probably wants this to work and so on, it can very quickly turn into her isolating herself from other people, not being social as much because it is safer. She would rather stay home than go out and spend time with other people when there's also Shafiq, because that could create problems. And it's all because you're protecting yourself from the judgment, from the critique. I'd rather stay at home than hear how bad I am. And all of this at the end can lead into her losing sight of who she really is. Now, of course, this is all, worst case scenario, kind of worst case. There are so many examples like this. But based on what I've seen, unless they really address it and work on it, it will happen 100%. Now, last time I also mentioned that there was another incident when it comes to Shafiq, Noor, and Dunya, right? This triangle. And I think someone in the comments actually, they basically said that what Shafiq is doing is creating this triangulation or something. I actually need to look into it more, where he is creating on purpose this jealousy between Noor and Dunya, and how this then impacts Dunya's and so on. I think maybe the point is the same as I was talking, inserting doubt, creating a sense of scarcity, woman against woman, taking away the responsibility from himself. But someone in the comments, I think, wrote that there's an actual expression for all of this, which is quite interesting. So basically, they are all together again, right? The group, and Shafiq talks with Noor, and they are apparently talking quite some time. And Dunya does not feel good about it.
ما تخاف علي.
كيف مش خايفين؟ Don't worry.
I'm gonna kill him.
No.
I think إنه شوي مستفز الوضع. I don't like it.
She actually feels like they are provoking her by, having these interactions, especially when Shafiq knows that she feels uncomfortable with Noor, because she never really gets clarity on what actually happened between Shafiq and Noor. There's even a point where she kind of challenges what he is saying, because he's saying how he doesn't care about her, how, she's not his type, but they did contact each other before the show. Like there had to clearly be some kind of attraction if you actually were in contact with her, which I think was smart on Dunya's part. But Shafiq again deflects. He doesn't even remember who messaged her, who, and so on. So the girl is trying to get clarity. The problem is that on the other side, she has someone who is very good at deflecting, and that confuses her, because he also approaches the discussions with certain confidence and, this, almost performance, right? That doesn't really allow Dunya to actually have a conversation with him. And if I'm being really, really honest, I do think that he is blowing this out of proportion. I think there genuinely isn't much that happened between the two of them, but because he's using this to make Dunya more attached to him, he doesn't really go into it, because technically there's nothing to go into it. Then there's another thing where he is basically being a little bit shady, and he doesn't really share everything that happened. But the fact that Noor never said anything, I feel like there might not be much that happened there. And Shafiq is just using this for his own benefit. So when Shafiq continues to interact Noor after the first incidents, after Dunya expressing that she feels uncomfortable about it, all of this makes Dunya feel very uncomfortable. At one point, the three of them are sitting alone, and Dunya is visibly uncomfortable, but then she also expresses it. Like, she says, why are they quiet?
Why are we not talking?
Awkward silence.
If everything is fine, talk. يعني ليش انتم مسوين awkward silence? I don't get it. شفيق قرر انه يروح. Honestly ما بحب هذا type of تصرفات.
I quite understand that. Like, if things are normal, why when I'm between the two of you, suddenly no one wants to talk? And then I'm the problem. Like, we don't know what exactly happened, but from what Dunya is expressing, like, I can totally understand that. Like, that can be really confusing, especially when she doesn't have clarity, and especially when Shafiq constantly feeds into this doubt about, how he is with Noor and so on. Like, it's fucked up. Now, this incident actually results in a fight later, but not because Dunya is the one who's bringing it up, but Shafiq. So after, by the end of this gathering, they're dancing, they're having fun, and Dunya is trying to have fun also with Shafiq, and he flips. He's like, oh, now you want to have fun. So apparently, Shafiq didn't like how Dunya didn't sit close to him.
Je te jure que non, parce qu'elle était... J'aime pas, parce que je comprends pas.
Je comprends pas quoi, qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
Like, her voice is shaking. And I think that's a result of a woman who is being gaslit in some way by Shafiq. That's my personal opinion. I think that Shafiq is a very exhausting person. Like, he's someone who is gonna like really poke into you. He's someone who is gonna blame you for things. And I honestly, when I was watching this, I felt really, really bad for Dunya. I really felt like, oh my God, like this woman is dealing with someone who is very, very controlling, manipulative, butthurt. It's all about him. And she's getting the short end of the stick, basically. Now, when she is expressing that she doesn't know what's happening and so on, again, the victim is Shafiq, right? So his whole thing is the fact that Dunya is feeling uncomfortable about the interactions between him and Noor is due to Dunya's jealousy of Noor. It has nothing to do with him. And again, in my personal view, the type like Shafiq, or in this case, Shafiq, he will never be the problem. If you have problems, it's your problem. But if he has problems, it's also your problem. And I would stay away. Now, in the reunion, they opened the topic about another thing that kind of bothers Shafiq a little bit, and it is the relationship Dunya has with her mother. So Dunya was raised by a single mother, and they're tight, okay? They're very connected, and Dunya goes to her mom for many things, for advice, for guidance, and so on. And Shafiq, though he does respect, right, that they have this tight relationship, he also doesn't like it that much, because according to him, Dunya should make her own decisions and not always go to her mom to advise. But at the same time, between the two of us, I wonder how much is about Dunya making her own decision and how much is it about Shafiq being the one who makes now the decisions.
You know, it's between me and you. You cannot involve your mom. There is something you and the mom, you have to cut, because I think you are in the relation at 3.
In the reunion, they basically say that at the beginning it was a bit difficult because they had to accept that now he came into the trio, but that now they are kind of, finding that right balance. Now, they haven't actually tied the knot. No, I don't think I've said it. They said no, but they actually agreed to say no because, it's too fast. They are not really ready. Through the whole wedding preparation, in my personal opinion, it was clear that Shafiq does not want to get married at all. He was freaking out left and right. And I think it was a good decision not to proceed. I also think that in general, Shafiq wouldn't proceed, to be honest. But they are still dating. And according to people in this reunion, the hosts, Muhammad and Safa, and the rest of the guys, because the other girls are just like, I don't even want to interact. They are the next couple to get married. And between the two of us, I really hope they are not, okay? We'll see. Now, the last couple is Simo and Hajar. And people, as much as there are so many things that we can talk about when it comes to the two of them, I'm going to try to keep it just to the things that I find are quite relevant and are beneficial for our discussions and commentary and learning at the end of the day. As a reminder, Simo was the type who was very unhinged, right? He was very unhappy with the women in the pod. His whole vibe was, because I'm honest, I can be rude to you. Ta-da! Right? And he, at the end, paired with Hajar. Now, their main thing was, or their main issue was how Hajar expressed that for her bachelorette, she would like to have a cake before going on the diet or something like that, right? And that was unacceptable. Now, here, I've came across a couple of comments where they are saying that the way Hajar said it, it should come across as a sarcastic joke or something. I know someone wrote that, but it was kind of, it was wrong. Like the way it was edited and the way it was shown, it was apparently missing some kind of context or something. I'm not really sure how, but I expressed my opinions on it. If I don't subscribe at the notion, I want to be with someone before I commit to someone else, because I'm committing to someone else with a reason. But in general, the way Simo was handling it was even more problematic. I'm not going to go into it. And despite them kind of going over that, right, they agreed on it. In the reunion, it felt like Simo is again kind of trying to, well, if a woman says this to you, it's not acceptable. So it was kind of like,
أنا ما نصلحش ليها وهي ما غتصلحش ليا. يعني الحاجة الأولى imagine إنه أنت your wife she's talking to you وبتقول لك أنا I want to taste another cake.
Hajar again says that this was a bad joke and that it was used against her.
Because yes, I am in the wrong. طلعت مني bad idea, figure of speech, بس استخدمت ضدي للأسف.
It might have something to do with the fact that they did not stay together. And the same as Amar and Karma and Mido and Noor, it also happened a little bit halfway through. Not even halfway through. They separated in the vacation or the time they were on the vacation. So what went down? I'm not going to go too deep. But in the incident between Noor and Shafiq and her not saying hi and people finding out that they know each other from before, shit went down between Shafiq and Simo. Because in some weird way, Simo shared with Dunya that people knew each other from before, and that's not fair experience, right? It's not 100% genuine going into this experiment. And Shafiq took that he's talking about him and Noor, which he clearly did. They got into a fight, okay? They got into a huge fight, two kids fighting, basically. And Simo got really, really pissed that Hajar didn't stand up for him. So imagine this, two men fighting, and he was upset that Hajar didn't stand by him. On one hand, I could see how Simo might have felt being alone. Because, look, if I put myself in a position where my man gets in a fight, like I think that I by default will, try to stand by him or calm him down or do something, but that doesn't make it right. At the end of the day, you are a woman, maybe a little bit weaker, inserting yourself in that situation could be problematic. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is, Hajar felt a little bit pissed at Simo, So her not standing by him when he got in the fight with Shafiq was also based on her own dissatisfaction she had with Simo. So what happened? Noor was standing next to Hajar, and Hajar noticed that she had some kind of speck on her skirt, in her ass area, okay, on her skirt. And as a good girlfriend, she said to Noor, wait, let me see, to turn around, and she cleaned it. And Simo standing next to Hajar, once she already cleaned it, he looks at Noor and he's like, turn around again.
I told you هذا مستخ.
Turn. دور. ما كاين والو.
سكسستو.
And Hajar is shook it. Noor is shook it. Clearly not the move. Clearly not okay. First of all, Bis as a woman to woman, and a woman to man, let the girls take care of their dirty skirts or specs or whatever. You don't need to get involved. Like Hajar said to Simo, if he would see something, he can say to Hajar, and Hajar can, help her girlfriend. The way he inserted himself, like it's, come on, chill, sit down. Especially knowing that, these men have a lot of problem if their women talk and smile to other men. So the fact that he's okay with him, just telling to Noor to turn around so he can check her ass out, please. That's the first thing. The second thing is Noor herself was visibly uncomfortable. Like her face said it all. She was like, what? As she was turning around. Clearly, also for her, this was not appropriate. Now, when Hajar calls Simo out by the brand, people, by the brand, he deflects. It's her problem that she took it that way. Now, here's the thing. He might have done nothing wrong, right? Because he didn't took it that way. He took it as, I'm helping a friend out. She's your best friend, so I'm also helping, which is totally fine. But, if she expresses that inappropriate, then you should say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way, but I can see how this could be problematic, especially when he himself has so many rules about how people should act and interact, right? So that to me is kind of like double standards again.
Now with the specific trust issue, you took it this way, but it's not meant to be. Apologize for what? Never. I didn't do nothing.
What is not okay is how he approached it. So he basically was deflecting. He said that he even calls her stupid, that why would she even think that way? And, no. Just no. In the reunion, Hajar also calls him out. You can do that, but when I make a joke about this cake thing, that's a problem. And Simo says, I didn't touch her, which is a little bit like, what? I mean, she also didn't do anything. She was, according to her, making a joke. So it's a little bit like, I feel like a lot of these people are a bit immature when it comes to actually realizing how much are you standing by certain values only when it serves you, and how much you are actually applying double standards based on, situation. So they had this fight beforehand. And when Simo got in a fight with Shafiq, Hajar didn't really feel like she wants to stand by him, right? She was sitting with Noor by her table and observing. The only thing that was missing was popcorn. But that actually resulted in Simo the next day not showing up and leaving the resort or the vacation place. Basically ghosting Hajar.
هاجر هلا جاني تليفون انه سيمو فال.
They had no conversation about it. She was actually expecting for the two of them to meet, and he was just poof, gone. And that was the end of their relationship. At the reunion, Hajar actually says that she doesn't believe that their relationship ended because, Simo was pissed that she didn't stand by him, but more so because his pride was hurt and he didn't know how to deal it. But he used Hajar as the reason why he left, which honestly, I think kind of that probably is the case. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's really the case. Now, before all of this went down, there are two things that also kind of happened and I think are showcasing what is the attitude here when it comes to Simo towards, in this case, Hajar. And Hajar in general. So I'm going to start with Hajar in general. Hajar was rude to the waitress. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but when you're not kind to service people, when you are rude, like, I just don't fuck with that. Simo called her out on it, and Hajar was like, well, that's just me. No, Bis, it's not just you. You can also be nice to people, period. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But the second thing is actually, again, when it comes to the expectations, women versus men, according to Simo and Hajar. So they are both Moroccan, but Hajar is living in Dubai. So they have a conversation about where do they want to live, where would they live. And according to Simo, they should be living in Morocco because he has his family business there, while Hajar says that the only thing she has in Morocco is her family, and she actually feels more free living in Dubai.
So that's why كنقول لك كنحس بحال غياخذوا مني الفريدم ديالي.
Freedom means to be next to family. كوني عائلتك that's freedom.
So while Hajar is saying that she feels more free living in Dubai, Simo is like now family is freedom, right? Almost saying things that seem to be perfect or seem to be the right thing. But if you think about the role of women and men in this particular case, it's not so easy. It's not so simple. And I'm only saying that because Hajar herself asked him about this. She asked him of what is forbidden for women to do in his, let's say, household, right? Simo says that nothing is forbidden. But then Hajar says, can she go out alone?
شنو الممنوع عندك؟ ديرو.
كل حاجة ممنوعة.
تخرج تسهر بوحدها عادي.
ما يمكنش.
سي كاين ممنوع.
هذا ماشي ممنوع، هذا عادي. علاش تخرج تسهر ولا بيك مرتك؟ Why?
Like girls fun time.
The beliefs that Simo has, how a woman is free, how a woman can do whatever she wants, and at the same time feeling like freedom also means that she shouldn't go out on her own. shows how flawed these beliefs are and how Simo doesn't even grasp what does it mean someone being limited. Because for him, saying that a woman shouldn't go out on her own is not limiting at all, right? So basically, they get also into this kind of conversation back and forward that Hajar wants to be in Dubai, he wants to be in Morocco. And it kind of reveals, what are his expectations and what are Hajar's. And that at the end of the day, fight going down or not going down, it's better that they separated their ways, okay? Because clearly, Simo would have certain expectations from Hajar, which she didn't feel comfortable. All in all, because I'm tired, I don't want to go deeper into it. Please excuse me for this. To me personally, as much as Simo is talking about values and family and so on, I think it's more about control than anything else. But that's just my personal opinion. Simo also gets... another surprise. And I felt like this was chef's kiss. So if you remember, he was also connecting with Yasmin in the pod, but they ended it very abruptly when apparently, like from what was kind of shown but not shown to us, Simo almost attacked Yasmin. She expressed that she saw a side of him that is very toxic, and she is happy that she got to see that because, she got reminded to not just be blindsided by, emotions and initial interactions and so on. And she is happy that it didn't continue. Now, in the reunion, Simo expresses that he would like to apologize to Yasmin, the way he handled things, but Yasmin has a message for him. So Yasmin sends in like a video, and she is gorgeous. Like from my personal opinion and views, she's beautiful, really. So she says that she wants to respond to the message Simo sent her on Instagram.
برغم اني انت محيتها مش عارفه علاش لكن اتس اوكي انا بجاوبك وعلنا. اول شيء لانه ما عنديش حتى حاجه نخبيها ولا حاجه نخاف منها، وثاني شيء لانه عندي وجه واحد سواء قدام الكاميرا او وراء الكاميرا. I'm sorry for your loss لكن انا ما عندي ولا قدره.
She says that she's very happy that she ended the experiment when she ended it, that she walked away, especially after seeing all the facts and how, I guess, everything went down. And at the end of the day, she's happy that she got to preserve her dignity. And she ends by saying, and Habibi, if you want to be special, be special. Like, I know it's again a bit roasting and so on, but when if you watch the show or if you watch all of my videos, I think you got a sense. I haven't talked about Simo much, apart from the first video. But in general, if you would watch everything and if you see how these men are acting, when women come and like roast them like that, when they say things, even though they're very rude, in a way, it's a bit satisfying because it feels like finally someone, actually says something to them. I'm not saying that it's okay that you should even treat each other one way or another, but because, like I said, these men express themselves so many times against women in one way or another, it kind of felt good when you saw like a woman also kind of taking her stand and almost fighting back in a way, okay? It's particular situations. We also find out that Simo and Shafiq made up and suddenly they are besties, even though Shafiq called Simo as a hypocrite multiple times, even in during the pod. Simo calling Shafiq as immature, but suddenly they are best friends, which is also very, very interesting to me. Honestly, I'm going to be very honest. It's pathetic. It is really pathetic. It's like, you see, we are all very good because at the end of the day, we are still friends, even though no, you are both, what's the word? You are both fake. You are both fake. That's the thing. That's what brings you together. My personal and humble opinion. Now, the reunion ends in even more shocking thing, in my personal opinion, and I know that some of you already think the same. Mido wants to apologize to Noor. He wants to apologize for what transpired, like we talked in previous video, how everything escalated in a fight, and to surprise, but also not surprising, everyone complimented him on that.
I owe Noor an apology ان انا اتكلمت معاها in a very rough way وعشان كده I was giving a lot. I was disappointed بس again I'm really sorry إن أنا كلمت بأسلوب
I love this.
لا
He was belittling Noor left and right. He was ganging up on her together with Shafiq and Dunya. And apparently, from what I saw, it lasted 9 hours, the reunion. So we really saw a small part of the bullying that was happening. And at the end, he apologizes to her, and now he is the good guy. Give me a break. Noor, the way she is, she accepts the apology, and honestly, she shouldn't.
فأكيد بقبل اعتذاره.
طب نشيك أنت. Thank you. I'm sorry again. Thank you.
If I was her, I mean, I would accept it as in I'm keeping my level. I'm not stooping to your level. But at the same time, he does not deserve it. I also find it very distasteful how everyone started clapping, how he apologized to her. And it's so pathetic. And again, it shows kids, right? Put up a tantrum, then apologize, and then everyone is going to be happy. The problem is these are adults with very real beliefs. And I personally think he just apologized again to be the good guy and to kind of save face in some way. I don't think it was genuine at all. And that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy I finished this. We both know there are so many things that I could talk about. I could still continue, but I think it was enough. I think it was okay. We can proceed to other content. I hope you enjoyed these videos. There are many of you who are new here. I hope you're gonna stick with me on this journey because there are a lot of things that we can talk about. And yeah, I'm honestly, I feel like I've made it. Next one is gonna be, like I said, Carrie, Sex and the City. I want to talk about the substance. I want to talk about Blink Twice. So if you want to have company while you're commuting, cleaning, putting away laundry, cooking, I got you covered. And remember, trust your individuality. Woo! I feel like I need a nap.